Welcome everybody. Welcome to White City Place Connect, where we're offering occupiers of White City Place a live platform from which to learn and engage from the safety and comfort, again, of your own homes. So we're here again on a Wednesday. Let's come and start on our backs. So all you're going to need is a yoga mat here and your own body, your own portable temple or laboratory, however you wish to experience that or think about that. And coming into effortless resting pose, just with the feet hip distance apart. You might need to lift the heart, slide the shoulder blades down the back and snuggle into the earth. Just give yourself a few moments to arrive. The eyes can be closed or softly open with a diffuse gaze. Have a sense of how the body is subtly changing shape and volume with each breath. Are there any little pockets of tension that you can dissolve so as to receive gravity more fully? Are you gripping or holding on to anything, whether that's physical, mental, or emotional? Maybe you're still just trying to tease your way apart from whatever it was you were involved in before you came to lie down on your mat just now. We bring our body here, sometimes it takes the mind a little longer to arrive. And I just want you to bring your awareness to your feet and notice where the weight is around your feet, to the soles of your feet. Visualizing how the indentation would be if your feet were in grass or a soft, earthy substance or sand. Just feeling what the imprint would be like here. And then wiggle your feet so they're to the outer edges of your mat and drop the knees in to touch one another. And notice again, or have a sense of how the imprint would be now. Where would the weight be? A little bit more perhaps towards the balls and inner heels. And wiggle the feet together. Where would the weight be now? Throughout all 10 pads of your toes, perhaps. And as you drop your knees out to the sides, bring the soles of the feet together in a Baddha Konasana and snuggle the skin of the feet towards one another. So your feet are in a prayer position. And notice how it feels to have your feet together. So we do this very, very rarely. And what would be the imprint of your feet now? Just the outer edges of your feet. And drawing the knees towards one another and wiggling the feet hip distance apart once again. Having a sense of these three corners here. So big toe joint, middle toe joint, and center of the heel. As best you can, equal amounts of weight to those 3 points. And starting to mobilize the spine by rolling the pubis forward now. Tailbone comes to the floor. So you're starting to tilt the pelvis. Feel how this works all the way up to the spine. The chest puffs up, the chin comes towards the throat. And then in the opposite direction, as you let your lower back flatten, the tailbone curls up a little. Release the tailbone to the floor, lower back arches, chest puffs up. Eventually the head and the neck become evolved, and then the lower back starts to flatten. Tailbone curls up. Let's do this with the breath. Inhaling. As the tailbone drops, Where is the weight in the feet also? Exhaling. A little bit more weight into the feet now on the exhale. One more time, inhaling. Weight to the spine, exhale. Feel the weight into the feet. Find a neutral position as best you can feel that. Interlace the hands so they're over the solar plexus, this big bunch of nerves that lies at the base of the sternum. Turn the palms away, reach your arms up and over your head. The hands may be hovering, or the tips of the outer edges of their hands, little fingers may come to the floor. We do that same movement, so tilt the pelvis as you inhale. Back arches, chest puffs up. As you exhale and the lower back flattens to the floor, can you let your hands float off the earth? So there's a scooping effect in the front of the body. Tailbone comes to the floor, hands float to the earth behind you. Inhale, exhale, arms float off. We're starting to connect to our core through the breath and the movement. Inhaling, exhaling. Inhale, come into neutral. Wiggle the feet together. Keep the arms where they are. Stretch your legs forward. Flex the feet. Spread the toes. Rotate the tops of your thighs towards one another. Press away through the three corners on each foot. And as you inhale, stretch evenly through front, back, and sides of your body. As you exhale, let the ankles, wrists, knees, elbows, shoulders, and hips relax. Seal the legs together as you inhale. And then start to walk the heels over towards the right. Walk your shoulders over towards the right. And bow to the left side of the body, from the crown of the head all the way through to the sole of your left foot, making a crescent moon shape on the earth. Walk your shoulders and feet back to the center, and then over to the left, walking the shoulders over. So bowing to the right side of the body like a crescent moon. From crown of the head through to the sole of your right foot. And then take it back through to the center. Draw the knees towards your chest, perhaps one at a time, knees together. And slip the hands over the fronts of the knees so the hands are interlaced. Lengthen through the back of the neck so the chin lowers. Lovely. And then a little bit more work for the core. As you inhale, you're going to turn the palms away. Maybe stretch the legs forward. About a 45-degree angle. You may need to have the legs higher, or you could have them lower. But please listen to your lower back. Exhale, hug in. Inhale, stretch it away. And again, exhale, hug in. Inhale, extend. 2 more times. Exhale. Inhaling. Last time. Hugging the knees towards you. Separate the interlace. Take your knees wide. Circle them away from one another as you inhale. As you exhale, they come together. Lift the head and shoulders off the floor, cheeks to knees. Release the head down. Circle the knees around on the inhale. As you exhale, drawing. Inhale. Circle the knees around. Exhale. Release the head to the floor. Flex the feet again. Interlace the hands over the fronts of the knees, tops of the shins. Second round, as you inhale, stretch the legs away, arms come over. Exhale, hug in. Maybe lift cheeks to knees this time. 4 more times. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more times. And release your head to the floor. Slip the hands behind the backs of the knees and rock yourself up to seated. Great. So just curl the shins around. We'll come onto the shins, tucking the toes and sitting onto the heels. Now this might be really uncomfortable for your feet. So you can always sit on the tops of the feet, which is also a stretch for the tops of the ankles. If you can keep your toes tucked for a wee while, squeeze the inner ankle bones in and lift up to the core of your body so you can just measure the amount of weight that bears down onto your toes here. Interlace your fingers, turn the palms away, take an inhale. As you exhale, flow the arms up and down and interlace the hands behind you. Inhale, slide the heart up the sternum, pull the knuckles down, and as you exhale, come forward, barely rib cage. Keep the sit bones towards the heels, so the head may not make it to the floor. Inhale, pull the knuckles back as you come up. Keep the chin down towards the chest, stretch the back of the neck, and then interlace the hands in front of you. Curl the tailbone under, press the palms away, and round and stretch the back. That's the exhale. Inhale. Find the natural S shape of your spine. Exhale, float the arms around and down. Inhale, slide the heart up the sternum. Exhale, belly, ribcage, forehead towards the floor. Inhale, come all the way back up, chin to chest. And exhale, turn the palms away. Curl the tailbone under and round. Inhale, come all the way up. Bring the earlobes over the shoulders, melt the shoulders. And untuck the toes. Start to twist towards the right. And as you do this, drive your right pelvic bone forward. So it is a twist rather than a rotation where the whole body moves around. So hip bones stay relatively flush and square to the front. Come back to the center. Twist towards the left pelvic bone reaches forward so the hips stay square. And then come back to the front. Come to sit down onto the heels as you slowly float your arms down. Feel the blood returning to the extremities, any tingling, any change in temperature. And slide the hands forward as you lay over your thighs into a modified child's pose. Again, forehead may or may not come to the floor. Spread your hands. Make sure your fingers aren't over tipping the length of your mat or extending beyond the length of your mat. So we're working within the space of our mat at all times. Coming up onto your hands and your knees as you inhale. Draw the shoulder blades up the back. Tuck the toes so you may have the legs sealed together here and float up into your downward facing dog. So with the big toe joints touching, the heels may be slightly apart. Spread across the metatarsals, spread the toes. We've all got very different anatomies. We're not trying to get the heels to the floor. For some of you, they may come to the floor. Some of you, they will be hovering. Could you bend your right knee and flick over the tops of the toes so you bring the top of the foot to the floor, the metatarsal to the floor. It's quite a stretch with the front of the foot and the ankle. You may feel you get a little cramp, so you could do this a couple of times. Articulating the top of the foot. And then lift your left heel. Lift your tailbone. And the width between your right big toe and second toe, take it either side of the top of the heel of your left foot, and using that right foot like a hand, stretch the heel away from you and slightly down. And then place the foot to the floor. Big toe joints are touching, heels are slightly apart. Let the shoulder blades slide up the back. And bend your left knee, rolling over onto the top of the foot. You can hold it, or if you get cramp, you can mobilize it a few times. Mobilizing the metatarsals and the digits of the toes. And then pause on the top of the foot, lift your right heel, lift your tailbone. And place the web between your left big toe and second toe either side of the heel. Stretch the heel towards the back of the mat, maybe down a little bit. And then place the foot to the floor. Lower the knees a little bit wider. Flatten the feet, come and sit down into a child's pose. Give your shoulders a moment of rest. Spread the hands, elbows wide. Couple of breaths here. And extending the arms until the elbows come off the floor. Take an inhale, come up. Bring the shins parallel, hip distance apart now. Tuck your toes, draw the shoulder blades up the back and float into your downward facing dog. Toes and fingers are long, lengthening from creases in the wrists and the fronts of the ankles. Let's walk the hands back towards the feet. Bend the knees as much as you need to have the fingertips on the floor in front of your toes, and let your head go, let it hang off the spine. You might want to nod or shake the head a little bit here. Lift each set of toes and place them down, creating space between each toe, and press down to the three corners, big toe joint, little toe joint, and center of each heel. Leading with your heart, keep the chin in, turn the palms out. Come all the way up to standing. Interlace the fingers and plunge the palms down beyond the pubis. That's the exhale. Inhale, the knuckles fly up underneath the chin, elbows lift. As you exhale, you're going to bend your knees. Place the palms perhaps on the floor if you can get a deep enough squat here. Start to slide the thumbs forward. Eventually, the hands come off the floor. Lift the belly, lift the chest. Utkatasana with the hands interlaced. Rise all the way up and step the feet together. So you're still at the back of your mat. I'm just turning forward so you can see. Press down through your left heel and lift up and over to the right. Crescent moon standing. Inhale, come back. Exhale, melt the shoulders. Press down into the left heel. Lift up and over to the other side. Coming back. Wonderful. And walk your feet forward towards the front of the mat. Just keeping your arms lifted for a moment. Soften the knees, spread the feet. Turn the palms down and plunge the palms just in front of your body. Exhale. Inhale, knuckles come up underneath the chin. Exhale, bend both knees. Reach the sit bones back. Place the palms flat onto the floor if you can. And then shift the hands so they're just in front of your right toes. Step back with your left toes into your lunge. Bring the right knee above the ankle. Ground to the ball of your back foot here. And then slide the thumbs forward, laying over your leg. And as you softly land the back knee, the chest lifts a little bit more upright. Bring your hands onto the thigh and draw your thigh bone forward at the same time. Pull your front foot and back knee towards one another. So there's a tension in the legs. Draw the navel back a little. So you might find that the shoulders kind of hunch forward a little bit here. Quite a strong opening into the hip flexor, all the muscles around the top of your left thigh. They get tight from lots of sitting. Good, and then let this go. Keep a little lift to the pit of the belly. Take the hips forward. Release the left arm. Slide it up by your ear, lift the rib cage off the waist and reach up and out. Release the hand and take both hands to the floor, maybe fingertips in line with the toes. Lift your back knee, step back into a high plank. Lower your knees, chest and chin to the floor as you exhale. Inhale, glide through, lengthen your toes, roll the shoulders back. Push back onto your hands, tuck your toes, and float yourself up and back into a downward facing dog. Let's put the right leg up behind us. Find that half pointed, half flexed foot. You point the foot like a dancer and then flex the toes back, pressing out to the big and little toe joints of the foot, the pad of the foot. Bring your heel towards your sit bone as you exhale, little hamstring curl. Inhale, come forward, knee to nose. Exhale, cross the right thigh over the left and press back, little flamingo pose. Look forward as you step the foot in between the hands. Bend your back knee so you can use the back foot to glide that foot gracefully forward. Feet hip distance apart, snuggle the feet, let your head go. Lead with your heart as you float your arms out and up. Interlacing the fingers, exhale, plunge the palms down. Inhale, knuckles float up underneath the chin, lift the elbows. Exhale, bend your knees, sit back as if there were a little stool for you to sit on. Perhaps you can place the palms flat onto the floor. Shift the hands so they're just in front of the left toes. Dive back with your right leg. Position your left knee over the ankle. You might need to move the hands onto the foot if it's too much to have them forward. Slide your thumbs forward. So upper arms come by the ears. You're laying over your leg. And as you softly land the back foot, the chest lifts. Place the hands onto the thigh, still interlaced. Draw your thigh bone forward. Pull front foot and back knee towards one another. Draw the navel back. Arms are bending a little. And taking the hips forward. Release your right arm, bring it up by your ear. Lift the rib cage up and off the waist as you stretch over. And taking the hands either side of the front foot, lifting the back knee. Step back into a high plank. Lowering knees, chest and chin. And this time slide the belly and the legs away from you. Untuck your toes, bring the forehead to the floor. Reach around and interlace your fingers. Slide the thumbs up the spine. And then down along the length of the tailbone, reaching back, maybe the heart extends into space. You could do a little roll here. So right shoulder rolls towards the floor. Left hip bone's a little light. Keep it down as much as you can. Roll across. Left shoulder towards the floor. Keep a little heaviness through that right hip bone. Coming back. Maybe the legs float off. Couple of breaths. Release your legs to the floor. Take the hands underneath the shoulders. Push back up onto hands and knees. Tuck your toes. Downward facing dog. Floating your left leg up behind you. Find that half pointed, half flexed foot. Heel to sit bone as you exhale. Inhale, come forward, knee to nose. Cross the left thigh over. Press back. Step the foot forward in between the hands. Glide your back foot forward to fold. Come all the way up to standing. Lead with the heart as you sweep your arms out and up. Wiggle the feet together and plunge the palms down. Exhale. Inhale, knuckles float underneath the chin, elbows lift. Exhale, bend both knees. Place the hands either onto the floor in front of you or actually onto your feet. Slide your thumbs forward, belly lifts, chest lifts, squeeze the knees. Maybe pick up your left toes. Reach back, take your high lunge. Soften the back knee if you need to. Hands are going to come onto the thighs, same action. Thigh bone draws away, pull the feet towards one another. And I am going to bend my back knee a little bit here. So I'm drawing backwards. There's a tensity in the legs. Draw the navel back towards the spine. And then press the feet away from one another and elongate. Slightly angling forward here. Sweep the left arm up by the ear. Lift up and over. Think of reaching the fingertips to where the wall on your right side meets the ceiling. And then sweep that arm back, re-interlace the fingers, raising the arms. As the back heel comes to the floor, open up your chest into a warrior two. Lift up, little reverse warrior as you exhale. Inhale, come back. Exhale, float the arms down, interlace the hands behind you. Keep your right knee pressing towards the middle two toes and come down to the center of the pose. Thumbs can stay on the sacrum. You can open the arms a little bit. It's a humble warrior in warrior two. Push away from the front foot, ground to the outer edge of your back foot. Drop the thumbs to the sacrum as you slowly make your way back up. And swivel yourself around towards the front so you're back in a lunge, back heel rises. Bend the back knee a little bit and see if you can spring your back foot forward, feet together. Belly, rib cage over thighs. Let the knuckles fly off your back, let your head go. Lovely. Drop the thumbs onto the sacrum, release the fingertips to the floor. Feet are together. Come all the way up to standing as you inhale. Interlace the fingers, exhale, plunge the palms down. Spread the feet. Is there any tension in the toes? Inhale, knuckles come underneath the chin, lift the elbows. Exhale, bend the knees and either place the hands onto the floor or place the hands onto the feet themselves. Slide the hands forward, lift the belly, lift the chest, Utkatasana. Glue the knees, pick up your right toes. Reach back, dive back, lift the chest. And then release the hands onto the thigh. Thigh bone draws forward. Feet pull towards one another energetically. Navel moves back towards the spine. There's a lot of work going on in the legs here. And then split the feet, lengthen through the spine. Release your right arm, take it up by your ear, and lift the ribcage off the waist. So reaching up and out. And this right hand sweeps back, interlacing the fingers, raising the arms. Back heel down, turn the chest, lift out of the ribcage, lean back. Coming back to the center, float the arms around and down, interlace the hands behind you, and keeping your left knee pressing back, come down to the center of the pose. Elbows can be open, palms can be open. Humble warrior and warrior two. Coming up, using your knuckles to help you. And swiveling up your back heel, turning back around towards the front edge of your mat into your lunge. Just the back leg if you need to. Bend your back knee. Glide the right foot to the left, feet together. Come over your legs, belly, ribcage, shoulders. Maybe the knuckles fly towards the ceiling. Release the fingertips either side of the toes, extend your spine. Come all the way up as you float your arms out and up. Interlacing the fingers. Shift the weight onto the right foot, turn the palms up towards the sky and take the ball of your left foot over there. So the inner thigh is opening up towards the front. So you've got your left leg over the top. Release the interlace, fly forward. The arms may be hanging. You could let the hands come onto the shin, or they may come to the floor. You may have some props to raise the ground to you. Press down to the ball of your left foot and send the energy back up the shin, back up the thigh to lift the left side of the pelvis so the pelvis is flat there. Instead of collapsing, push down to lift it up. So you could place your cup of tea here on the sacrum. Your right knee doesn't want to be locked. It can be straight, but you don't want to be sitting into the back of the knee. And then can you let your head go? Keep pressing down to the ball of the left foot to keep that left hip lifted. Walking your hands forward a little bit, extend the spine, possibly picking up your left foot so the thigh is crossing, just as we did in our down dog earlier. And you could bend your supporting leg, so you've made a little shelf here, squeeze the inner thighs, and maybe bring the hands into a prayer position. Take the fingertips back to the floor and slide this left foot forward. Come and sit down. If you can, bring this left foot flat to the floor. You're on the ball of your back foot. And the heel is just at the perineum, right at the base of your spine. Perhaps the hands come into prayer just for a millisecond. And if you kind of feel stable enough here, you could twist. So you take the forearms outside of that front thigh and maybe even split the palms. So you've got a little twist for the upper body going on here. Keep breathing. Bring the palms back together, thumbs to the heart, fingertips to the floor. Lift your sit bones. Maybe the back heel comes to the floor, so you've got the left thigh crossed over, forehead towards the shin. You can keep both knees bent. And shift the weight back so you can step that left foot to the right, let yourself hang. Lift and lengthen as you inhale. Exhale, step back with your left toes. And we're going to take a warrior one, so spin your back heel in and down. Give yourself a bit of width between the feet if you need to. So that would mean wiggling your right foot a little closer towards your right thumb. Interlacing your fingers onto the top of the foot. Bring your right knee above your right ankle. Start to reach the arms forward. Coming up, warrior one. And then placing the hands onto the thigh. Draw your thigh bone forward. Squeeze the feet towards one another. Lift the navel just as we've been doing. And then extend this as if you're splitting the feet. Left arm comes up by the ear. Reaching up and over slightly. And then the arm sweeps back. Interlacing, raising the arms and open up into a warrior two. So if you gave yourself a bit of width between the feet there, you're going to need to wiggle your right foot a little bit further forward towards the long edge of the mat rather than the short edge of the mat. Lift up and over. Come back. Release and interlace. Coming sideways this time. So you pull your knuckles to the length of your tailbone as if you're laying the right side of the body on the thigh. You may find that the shoulder comes to rest. Release the interlace. Right fingers may float to the floor behind the foot. Left arm rises. Press down to receive that buoyancy. Left hand comes to the floor. Swivel up your back heel. Right arm rises. Take the hands back to the earth. Step back into a high plank. Lower knees, chest and chin. Exhale. Inhale, come through. Exhale, tuck toes. Downward facing dog. Right leg floats up, press the ball of the foot away. Inhale, exhale, heel to sit bone. Inhale, come forward, knee to nose. Press the thigh across, so you're crossing your thighs. Step forward. Left foot forward. Feet together. Come all the way up to standing, leading with the heart. Interlacing the fingers, softening the elbows. So hover the hands just above Sahasrara chakra. That's just above the crown of your head here. Take the ball of your right foot over and open up the inner thigh towards the front. Turn the palms up towards the sky, reach up and then release, fly forward. So the arms can just reach down, just draping. You could rest your hand on the shin, the front shin, or the fingertips may come to the floor or onto a block or bricks, whatever you may have to lift the earth towards you. Press down to the ball of your right foot, send the energy back up the shin, up the thigh bone to keep the right side of your hip lifted. So your sacrum is flat rather than the right side collapsing down, and let your head go. Back knee, the left knee is a little bit soft. You're not stressing the back of the knee joint. Is there any tension in your left foot? Come onto the tips of the fingers, extend your heart a little, and see if you can pick up your right foot. Squeeze the inner thighs, do a little bend to the supporting leg. Maybe you can bring your thumbs underneath your heart. So if you really squeeze the legs together here, you might feel a little bit more stability. Shoulder blades down the back. And releasing the fingertips back to the floor. Slide your right foot forward so it comes to the earth. Come and sit down so the back heel is underneath the perineum or the tailbone. The right foot is flat if that can happen. Maybe just a moment of balance. Or you could twist and take the forearms outside of the thigh. And maybe even open up the palms. A little twist for the upper body. Right foot is flat. You're balancing on the ball of your back foot. And then hands are coming back together. Release the fingertips to the floor. Lift your hips. Maybe the back heel comes down. So you've got your right leg crossed over your left. The knees can be bent. Let the head or forehead travel to kiss the shin. Bend both knees. Bring your right foot back. Walk the fingertips to the either side of your toes and let yourself hang. Lift and lengthen. Step back with your right toes. Bring your back heel in and down. Maybe you need a bit more width by wiggling the left foot slightly towards the left side of your mat, warrior one. Interlace your hands over the top of your foot. Slide the hands forward as you start to come up. Make sure you've got a long enough stance here. Take the hands onto the thigh, draw the thigh bone forward. Pull the feet together, draw the navel back. Extend, release the right arm out and up. Lift up and over. And then releasing the hand back, interlace the fingers, turn the palms away, reach up and open into a warrior two, adjusting the feet if you need to. Lift up and over, reverse warrior. Coming back, release the interlace and float the hands behind you. So the shoulders stay square to your wall you're facing. Pull the knuckles towards the tailbone and beyond, laying the left side of the body over the thigh and the shoulder to the earth, to the knee even. You may be hovering, you may be holding yourself here. The left fingertips can come to the floor outside of the foot, the right arm rises. And then taking the hand to the floor, swivel up your back heel, step back into a high plank. Lower your knees, chest and chin to the floor. Exhale. Inhale, draw through. Exhale, tuck toes. Downward facing dog. Floating your left leg up behind you, press the ball of the foot away. Exhale, heel to sit bone. Inhale, knee comes forward towards the nose. Press the thigh across. You cross your left thigh in front of your right. Lift your sit bones. And then step the foot in between the hands. Glide your back foot forward to fold. Keep your feet hip distance apart this time. And just take your hands onto your feet and experience what it's like to ground the feet through the hands. So you could lift each set of toes a couple of times and just snuggle the feet into the earth. If you like, lift one foot at a time and slip the hands underneath. So you're going to be standing on the palms of your hands. The backs of your hands are on the floor. And the toes are coming in towards the creases of your wrists. So if you can only get your fingertips underneath there, maybe bend your knees a little bit more. Let your head go. So a little connection here between hands and feet, a little massage for the feet and wrists, hands and wrists. And you could try that the other way. So you're going to slip the palms of the hands onto the floor, the fingers turn towards the heels. So you're standing on the backs of the hands. Again, just note the sensation of hand to foot. It may feel a little unusual. And release the hands one at a time. Turning your toes out about 10 degrees. And again, you might lift each heel and slip the hand underneath the arch and heel of the foot with the fingers extending towards the sides of your mat and possibly come and sit down in a squat. So the hands underneath the heels kind of act like a block would do if your heels don't come to the floor. They just give you that little bit of stability. Keep the face softening downwards from the hairline to the chin. You're going to rock forward a little bit so you can release each hand onto the floor in front of you and see if you might come and sit down here. So you probably end up about here. You're going to take your feet perhaps a little bit wider, but not too much that you're sitting on your tailbone. So come towards the fronts of your sit bones, and that might mean kind of lifting and finding that pelvic tilt. You have your hips, knees, and middle two toes aligned. Hook the thumbs underneath the heart. Take the elbows inside. Pelvic floor is lifting. Mula Bandha. Jalandhara Bandha slightly engaged as the chin drops towards the pit of the throat. So these are two internal energetic locks which we engage to contain prana, our life force within the body. Let's twist towards the left knee and take the right hand over the shin or over the knee, left thumb behind you, and flex both feet. Start to straighten your right leg, so the leg that you can't see. Root down to the sit bone and all the way along towards the heel. And you might twist a little bit more without pulling the knee in towards the center, without too much leverage. And there's an awareness of the leg that you can't see. This capacity for proprioception as the sense of our body in our environment or in space when we can't see it. So you know you've got a right leg and you can feel where it is. You can't see it. And we take that even more internally in our yoga practice. We begin to sense the internal landscape of our body, the organs, the viscera and the fascia, the fluids, and how they are operating. Maybe you're going to slide your left heel a little bit further away, and you might come forward over the leg a little. Now this left hand just feels a little bit redundant. You could wrap it around the waist. Give yourself a bit more lift. And we want to keep that right sit bone grounded. So if the hand comes onto the top of the thigh, it can just root down there. And let's unwind from this. And just take the fingertips in front of you. If you find yourself collapsing or it's really difficult to lift yourself upright, there's two things you could do. You could take the hands behind you instead and use the hands to lift the chest. So you're rolling a little bit more towards the front of the sit bones. Or if you want to stay forward and you feel like you're collapsing, it's really a lot of effort on the tops of the thighs and the belly to lift yourself. You could bring your legs a little closer towards one another. That may help. And you don't have to go far. Some of you may be coming a little bit further. And then walking your hands back. So you come upright. Let's start again. So just taking the hands underneath the knees. Bring the feet back. So you've got this wide squat. Hips, knees, middle two toes aligned. Elbows inside, hook the thumbs underneath the heart. Little lift to Mula Bandha, little Jalandhara Bandha as the chin and the face soften downwards. Twist towards the right, so your left hand comes over the shin or the knee, right thumb behind you, and pivot on the heels, so you lift your toes. Left leg's extending, so you can't see it, so feel how it's moving into space. Spread the toes. Press away to the three corners of your foot there. And lengthen from your sit bone all the way through towards the heel. Maybe you're stretching your right leg forward also. You could slide the hand down the outer foot or top of the shin towards the ankle. Notice if you've started to lift away from this left sit bone, keep the inner thigh rotating up towards the sky. And if this right arm feels like you don't really know what to do with it, you could try to wrap it around the waist. Hand could come onto the top of the thigh there, so it just roots and grounds. You can almost roll the inner thigh towards the sky. All these little micro movements we are doing here to find stability and space and length. Slowly unwinding. And again, either hands can come behind you to help you lift the chest, draw the spine towards the front of the body, or hands in front of you and coming forward. And just taking a couple of breaths wherever you are. Close your eyes if you're distracted by any part of your body. You come back to your breath. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end to each inhalation. A beginning, a middle, and an end to each exhalation. Let's make our way up out of this. Great, we're going to ease the legs out of this pose by taking the hands underneath the knees or thighs, just drawing them back in, and we'll come into a Baddha Konasana, a long Baddha Konasana. Against the soles of the feet melting in towards one another. Take the hands onto the fronts of the shins, quite a long diamond shape, lift your heart, and as you walk your hands forward, imagine placing the heels where your forehead would arrive if you made it that far down. Elbows are outside. You could interlace the fingers over the tops of the toes, but just be careful not to pull the toes up here. Or you could place your hands one on top of the other, just on the inner edges of your feet. And give yourself a few moments here. Just starting to take the energy down now. Bring your hands back, up the shins. Draw your knees together. Bring your sit bones towards your heels. And release yourself down onto the earth. Let's bring the hands down onto the floor. Without the use of the hands, just spread them and just use them as a stabilizing element. Draw your right knee towards your chest and stretch your left leg long. And you can let the feet be relaxed. Maybe your right arm now rises up onto the floor by your ear. Left hand comes onto the outer knee and you can roll across into a one-legged twist. You choose here whether you want to keep the right shoulder blade down, so the shoulder girdle stays rooted, or you can bring the knee a little bit further over and let the shoulder blade come up. You might even bring the knee all the way to the floor. For most of us, we won't be having the shoulder down, right shoulder and the knee at the same time. So it's just wherever you want to feel this in your spine. Left leg is long and extended. Feel the connection between your right fingers and your left toes. And then rolling yourself out of this. Just bring the right arm down by your side. Draw the left knee up and extend the right leg forward. Left arm comes up by the ear, palm facing upwards. Right hand to the outside, gently coaxing the knee across into this one-legged twist. Maybe you want to keep the left shoulder blade plugged in. This might be it. You take a little further. If you feel you've gone too far, come back again. So just play a little bit here where you want to feel this. You don't have to arrive anywhere. You could make this just a continuous exploration and movement. Left fingertips to right toes. And coming back, bringing the left arm down. Draw the right knee up also, and just give yourself a little hug. So you might hold one wrist, so the knees are quite close, or interlace the hands, or have the hands separate. It might feel nice to lift the head and neck off the floor, change the interlace or change the holding of the wrist, and then release the tailbone and head to the earth. Release the feet to the floor, palms facing up. You can stay here for your final relaxation or stretch your legs forward. Your choice. Snuggle into the earth. Close your eyes. And let go. Let go now over any controlling of the breath. Any focus or intention of your mind. Abandon the arms, abandon the legs, and give yourself just these last 2 minutes to absorb and assimilate everything that you've done. I'll mind the time. Of course, if you feel you would like to stay here a little bit longer, or in your home, it's one of the benefits of practicing from home. Just let my final words wash over you. You can begin to make your way back into the physical body. Have an awareness of the weight and contact of your body on the earth. And how the body is subtly changing shape and volume with each breath. You could roll across the back of the skull a few times. Stretch out or wiggle your fingers and your toes. And when you're ready, in no hurry, and still with the eyes closed, roll yourself over to the right side, curl your knees towards your chest, and take your left hand onto the floor by your face. Use the left hand to gently spiral your way back to any comfortable seat. Doesn't have to be a yogi seat. And bring your hands to your heart in prayer. And bow your head towards the tips of your fingers. And gently open your eyes here. And when you're ready, raise your gaze. Namaste. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day. Hope to see you again soon. Take care.